Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about the SQL. So what is SQL? We'll see. SQL is a structured query language which is used to create, update and retrieve the data from the database. So I can give you a simple analogy so you can understand better what is SQL. So a SQL is like a database like Google Drive. So often we will be using Google Drive in order to store the files which are important for our day-to-day life, which includes your pictures, videos, documents. So you can share and you can store and organize files like how you are doing in the Google Drive. So in the SQL also, you can able to create a tables. You can also insert. You can also fetch whenever the data that is required. You can also delete and update the data. Same how you are able to do in the Google Drive, where you can upload the pictures, documents, videos, and how you are managing, how you are searching it and deleting it and updating it or editing it. Same way in Google Drive, how we are doing. We can also do the same in the SQL. So yeah, SQL is very important skill set nowadays for a business analyst. Most of the companies were asking SQL knowledge for a BA. Okay, I hope you have understood what is SQL is. So why this SQL is used by business analyst? Because this is something correlated to the technicality. So why does BA will be using SQL? Because business analyst will be primarily ensuring that requirements are gathered and successfully delivered to the users. Okay, so this is the primary duty of a BA, high level. But why the SQL? So SQL as part of your BA job, the SQL where you will be using in different occasions. Okay, so first one is where business analyst will be using SQL in workplace is to while validating UAT in the database, business analyst requires to write some queries so that you can provide the sign off, business sign off. Because obviously, uh, when the developers are accommodated some data in the database, whether it is accurate, whether it is having some discrepancy or wrong or incorrect in nature, how does they will be identifying? One needs to have a knowledge on writing SQL queries. So when you write the SQL queries accordingly, the SQL will fetch the output. So you can validate and you can provide this sign off whether the data what they were accommodated in the database is correct or not. So this is where business analyst will be using SQL as part of UAT validation. Okay. And second scenario where business analyst will also pull a report, especially when the end users are came across with some difficulties or some errors or challenges. So first thing, they will reach us to the product owner and business analyst stating that we are facing some issue. Please rectify or fix it. So as a BA, in order to investigate, analyze the error what their users are reported, you need to pull a report from the production. So let's imagine without having a knowledge on SQL, you will not be able to pull a report in the production. It requires you to write some queries. Only then the production data you can able to fetch and you can able to download it and analyze the data. Okay, so let's take an example that the product owner end users were reached out to the business analyst and product owner stating that we are getting some error while uploading this PDF in the production. So as a BA, you need to intake the whatever the uh, you need to intake the request whatever they are providing. Then in order to investigate, analyze or review the data, you need to have a data. Okay, you need to pull a report. So you need to go to the SQL production and you need to obtain the data and download it so that it will be helpful for analyzing. So I have one data. Okay, I hope you are able to see my screen. Let's imagine this is my data. Now we have a data and what exactly the end users are compliant or reported. Accordingly, we need to investigate, review and analyze. So once we are done with all this, we will come to know the problem that the users are facing. That is called root cause. We will come to know the root cause. So this is where SQL knowledge should be have by business analyst. This is scenario 2. Okay, so you can able to identify here where the issue was users are experiencing. You will come to know by analyzing, reviewing, you can come to know. So this is second scenario where you will be finding the root cause. for the users. And third scenario is where we business analyst will be using SQL in the Power BI. Power BI is a visualization tool where business analyst will be creating some awesome visualization to present it to the stakeholders, especially when there is a large data in the business. Okay, let's imagine that there is a large number of data. Okay, I can keep scrolling down. See, you can see the numbers are keep on increasing. So obviously anyone to interpret the data, the large number of data, it requires I mean, it is not that easy. It is very challenging to analyze the data, right? So, and if you show it to the same to the stakeholders and clients, will they able to interpret? It's very hard for them to do because all they will be focusing on the main expectation what they are looking. So if they are looking for to have the top 10 purchased products, the top 10 failures of the products, if they are saying that you need to present it only that, if you are presenting them instead of that the entire data and tell them to look all the data, and you will come to know if you say that it is not a righteous approach, right? And that's where they will face difficulties and understanding. So as a BA, what you need to do is you need to go to the Power BI. Okay, so this is a Power BI, and here in order to import the data in the Power BI, there are multiple ways where we can import the data into the Power BI. One of them was importing through SQL. So are you able to see here in the home button, there are SQL server. When you click on that, it will ask you to connect the SQL server. Okay, server and database optional. When you give the appropriate credentials over here and click OK, the SQL will be connected to the Power BI. And here you can able to import the data of the SQL in the Power BI. So this is where business analyst will also requires to have a SQL knowledge. So this is a third scenario where business analyst will also use SQL in order to connect the SQL Server database to the Power BI. Okay, these are the three different ways where business analyst will be using SQL in the workplace. Okay, everything looks fine, but do we need to learn the entire SQL as a business analyst? Obviously not required, because we are a business analyst, not a data analyst or or any other designation that requires SQL knowledge. No, we are a business analyst. It's not required to have a deep dive knowledge on SQL. It's good to have a fundamentals. That's it. If you are good at fundamentals of SQL, then it's more than enough to survive as a business analyst. Okay, so the one which I am displaying on the image, these are the top 12 SQL concepts for every business analyst that needs to have a hands-on experience. And this is very simplistic and easy to understand. So one of them was select, where condition, order by, group by, having, joins. This is very important concept in the SQL. Joins, subquery, Windows function, distinct, union all, primary key, foreign key, and etc. So these are the top 12 concepts in the SQL where business analyst, every business analyst who are aspiring to learn SQL, they need to have a hands-on experience. Okay, so these are the high priority, especially when you are learning SQL. Okay, so I'll show you one example like how business analyst will be using SQL in the work environment. Let's imagine that your product owner or users are as part of UAT validation. Let's imagine the dev team was confirmed to BA stating that we have updated few data in the database. You may proceed for the UAT validation. So you will be provided to one of the SQL access where the data is sit, and you need to write a query. For example, there is a query, right? I want to see actually for this in the SQL, there are three tables are pre-created: employees table, departments table, jobs table. So now I want to see the entire data that is present in the employees table. So in order to see the data present in the employees, I need to write a query. So I'll go to select star from the table name that I'm looking to view the data was employees. Okay, then click on run button. So here in the data output, the output will be shown. See, so are you able to see now? Employee ID, first name, last name, email, hire date, job ID, salary, manager ID, department ID were present in the employee table. Okay, so in case if you want to know the specific column name, okay, you need to know only the specific column name. Okay, so in that case you can write, for example, let's imagine that I want only the salary. So you can write salary, select salary from employees. So when you click on that, you will only get salary column. See, earlier we got entire table part of employee table, but right now we got only salary because we have mentioned condition as salary from employee. Okay, earlier we have used star. So in the SQL, star means it will fetch the entire data of the table. So since I mentioned now star, I will get the entire data part of employees table. So I'll click on run. So you can see that I got the entire data present in the employee table because I have used star. In case if I am not using star, in the place of that, if I am adding the specific columns, for example, let's add first name. Okay, first name, comma. You can expand by adding the column names as required. I can add email as well. Okay, email. And from which table that I am looking? Obviously, this is data is present in the employees table. So I have wrote that and I click on run. Now I need to get the output as first name column, email column. That's it. I should not get any other. So as you can see, the output we got first name and email. So this is how, as a BA, you need to validate the data in the UAT, and if the users are compliant on the errors that are facing, as a BA, you need to take the request and you need to come to the SQL and write the query so that you can come to know the output, what is exactly they are facing the issues. So this is how the business analyst will be using SQL in the workplace. So I hope you have understood what is SQL is, the basics and fundamentals of SQL in the workplace by business analyst point of view. So if you are looking for any business analyst training, we are also going to incorporate SQL API and Power BI sessions as well. So 40 days course, you will be learning all these concepts in real time practical oriented sessions. So we are starting new batch on BA very soon. Please contact us for the course enrollment. Thank you.